mean, they are quite tough to handle.
That's how we like it.
Right, we're just through now to North Wales again. Got Jay this time with me. We've come through with Nick, Jay's daughter and our daughter for weekend. It's Thursday the 31st of August. Transfer deadline day for football. Man, you're going to sign any more Chelsea players? The players that were useless last season.
Hopefully not.
You've got Mason Mount and Cucurella. No. Yeah, anyway, that's football. Hopefully Chelsea spend a few more billions before midnight, and we need to. Yeah, we're just going to dig some worms on Aberdaron Beach. It's absolutely pissing it down with rain. That's all it usually rains, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. We've got waterproofs on. See how we get on. Probably won't do any footage of the actual digging of the worms because it's horrendous out here. It's not very. It's a little bit breezy, not massive. It's going to die off. We might have an evening session on Whistling Sands tonight. It just depends how many worms we've got. We've got a bit of mackerel. We might just do it anyway if this rain thins out, just for something to do. We need some fish foot species on. Lincoln, you've put the pressure on, son.
Mm-hmm.
We can feel it. It's like someone's put a blowtorch on the back of our necks.
Especially me. I'm getting trailed off.
It's not a. It's only a bit of fun though, isn't it? Like
I'm
fucking
leaving,
it. Like fucking is.
I'm leaving chat.
Yeah. If you catch any more species tomorrow of a weekend, Lincoln on Anglesey, it'll come up. Carl has left the group. Jay has left the group. I'm only joking. Yeah, it's been really good so far. Lincoln's fair play to you, mate. You've done fantastically so far. That small taupe, I know we were taking piss a bit, but it were absolutely perfection. And I couldn't write it down because I'm all right with spelling, but I couldn't write it down. It was literally just perfection in a miniature version of it. Every detail on that taupe was exactly the same as a big one. It was totally perfect. So well done for that. He's on 22 species. I'm on 17. What are you on, 14 or 15? 13. So Jay's... I mean, if we did well today, we could have gone to somewhere to get him a cork, but I think he'll get one off at Rocks tomorrow anyway, so there's probably no point. So I think now temperature's well and truly up in sea and stuff. For some wrassing, you can just drop down outside. You might need to cast it out for a cuckoo wrasse. So Jay might get a couple of species tomorrow. We might get a couple tonight, hopefully, if we do go fishing, but we'll see what happens. See how we get on with the worm dig anyway. We'll crack on. It's about low tide, so fingers crossed. It's a really big tide, so we should do really well on here. Welcome to Whistling Sands then for the evening session. We've been very well over there. We've managed to find some ragworm and some softbacks, crabs. So yeah, just to start, we're just going to put the wrong rod out. We've got a total flop rig, a little size 8 hooks. Just after anything. We've got a windlass off our backs. We'll talk more in a minute, we'll show you what we've got as well bait wise. We've got some mackerel as well. We're going to use mackerel to start with these two rods we're splitting out. I just want to see what it fishes like. This is a bit of weed, but it is calm, so I'll probably be able to fish over it, I'd imagine. We'll see how we get on. Fingers crossed that it's alright. It might just be a case of one bait up turbot for Jay and then off, but we'll see. Yeah, so I've got some softback crabs, there's some ragworm in there, and there's some blow lug. So I'm quite happy with that. We'll see how we get on with it. We'll put this on as bait later on. Use a mackerel strip while it's still light, so that's when the turbot feed on here. Some people in the water. So not much has happened. We've had 3 bait ups. Absolutely nothing. Kids are having fun. Then back with Nick in a minute. Me and Jay will fish on into darkness. Put one of them ragworm on, the best ragworm I've ever had them in terms of how tough they are and stuff. Just shows you quality wild rag. Pity we couldn't have got a few more, but I think we've got about half a dozen or so, but they're all decent ones. See what happens anyway. I'm going to put another rod out in a bit when I come back. With a fully rig on, mackerel or crab bait or something, or worm and crab or whatever, something different. I'd imagine as it gets dark the doggies will be in force like they always are on this beach in the night. There's always a chance of getting a bass sometimes on here as well. I've gone down now. Took my kids back up, so it's me and Jay here now, joined by a couple of anglers to the left and to the right. They say we're fishing quite well last week, so for the BASS as well. So I've got two rods out, both got two rods out, one's got a pulley rig on, one's got a flapper rig. I've upgraded the size of the hooks on my flapper to about a 2.0. I've got crab on one top hook, and then on bottom hook I've got a bit of rag, low lug, big bait, pulley rig, like a 2.0 sort of thing, with a circle up behind it. I've got a mackerel crab bait, just off the sea. Big tide again tonight, big tide, doing the range of big tide should I say. We had a bite bait's coming back on touch so far, a bit disappointing. Let's see how we get on. The mackerel crab bait has produced a little daggy. That's not a bad one actually. Get him up, get him put back. So we've got something a bit better, at least something's feeding. Right, so we didn't have a very good session last night, ended up with 3 dogfish. Did you catch out last night, Jason?
No.
No, caught fuck all. So, just getting bag ready to go down onto Rock Mark, got net ready. Just going to fish with one rod each for taupe, and then a rod out with flapper rigs on for smaller species. We picked some black lug up. Obviously we dug a few worms yesterday, they weren't that good. The ragworm were alright, and the crab were alright that we got. I'm quite happy that I know we only caught dogfish much. I'm glad that I caught something on the crab. But then again, it was crab mackerel cocktail, so probably went for the mackerel. So yeah, we'll see how we get on today. Didn't do much filming end last night because it just wasn't worth it. A couple of lads did have a bass at the side of us. They said it was only a small one, which is quite an achievement I suppose in calm conditions. So yeah, let's get on with today. It's going to be part of the same video. Then we'll do a big one tomorrow on Pathelli Beach, where hopefully we'll get some smaller species out. Bit of a slow start, a bit disappointed because we did fish a long time on that beach. And usually it does fish better than that. But again, it proves even only getting 3 dogfish out off there in darkness is pretty poor, but it does prove that the big tides, they don't like big tides, doggies. Which is good obviously in another sense, that your bait's fishing more. We had flappers in a couple of times and the hooks have been stripped on worm, but we're using size 8 hooks on 1-up rods. I upgraded my flapper rig to slightly bigger hooks later on, and they were still getting stripped, so I don't know if it was crabs or what, but it's a clean beach where we're fishing, so it possibly wasn't crabs. It must have been really small fish that can't take a size 8. So yeah, enough about that. We'll get on with the rock session. Next section of this video will be at the mark, and hopefully reeling in some mackerel, fingers crossed. We're just about to set off now. We're down. I've just we've had like literally 15 casts of mackerel. We've got about 15, maybe even less than that. Probably 10 casts of mackerel, 15 mackerel comfortably between us. I put a couple back as well. Just put a rod out for taupe, and feeling confident straight away. It's always nice to get off a good start. So we're going to then put a rod out with flapper rig on for smaller species with black lug. Let's see how we get on. Jesus had a cork when I didn't get any footage of it, unfortunately. Caught it on mackerel strip downside. It did look suspiciously like a ballon for some reason. It was quite dark in its colours, but the teeth and the signature dot on its tail to mimic a fish's eye proved it was definitely a corkwin. Caught it on mackerel strip. I think that was another giveaway. You sometimes get balloners on mackerel strip, but more often than not, you don't. So nice one, Jay. You've got another species. You're catching up. I'm in limbo, me. I've put 2 flapper rigs out, lost them both, so I'm just waiting for the tide to ease up a bit. And once we get down to low tide, I'm going to have another go. Jay's dropped his downside, that's why it's Done all right. So far, he's had a pollock as well, small pollock. I'm holding out for Pathelli Beach for tomorrow, I think, for species. So just talk you through. I'm just going to talk. Oh, the ratchets nearly went off then. Just going to talk you through the rig that we're using. We've got dongle rigs on. I've been making them up with either single circles or O'Shaughnessy's. I like O'Shaughnessy's. Let's tighten it up a bit, Jake, because got current ripping. That's an O'Shaughnessy. It's an old one. It's got a bit of rust on it actually. But what everyone has a preference on what rigs they use. As long as they work, it doesn't really matter. What I've found with this, using a short rig, is because the taupe's got quite a big mouth. I don't use like a full mackerel. I use up to half a mackerel, maybe even a third of a mackerel. I find it easier to cast with. What I've noticed, it's what I've stumbled on this year, but it has been successful before in the past. But as we've gone, and I've gone through sort of A to Z of trying hook patterns to clip into Gemini splashdown and land fish and not bend out and all that type of stuff, I've come back to this with single O'Shaughnessy or single circle hook. Owner circles I've been using Keoki 10-0 circles. I've ordered some off Temu. We're going to see how good they are. They might be going back if they're rubbish. We'll not be testing them on a taupe if they don't look up to standard. So that's an 8-0 O'Shaughnessy with dongle. I've got 12 to 14 inches of AFW wire, the blood red one. I've got a 2-0 swivel. I've got a rig body of 200 pound. It's about 3.5 foot long, 4 foot. Got a bead, pull a swivel. I'll use a normal swivel. Now it's important to use a normal swivel and a big one, 2-0 upwards, because otherwise you could potentially get your hook snood tangled around your rig body. But what stops that a lot of the time to avoid that, I've never had it happen with AFW, by the way, when I use it. You need to use a quality wire. AFW is a quality wire. They all work as well. But what stops it, can you see how I've done my Flemish eye there, and then I've used the tag end to come down the snood and then crimp it there. That keeps it, it's almost like, it keeps it tangle free basically, that. But also, so does using a big swivel, because it keeps everything flowing nice. And there's no risk then of anything tangling up. You know, there's no friction on that rig body. Oh, we've got a right running current now, haven't we? There's no friction on that rig body of something catching, like a pulley bead, or you know, something that don't fit quite so well. A smaller swivel, yeah, you can do. And down to a Gemini splashdown, an upside down bait clip or a canny link on there. 20 pound weak link. I've been using 7-ounce leads. Tide's running quite aggressive at the minute. I'm going to try a 9-ounce next. I've got really big tides. There's a lot of pressure out there. Personally, I don't think it fishes as well on these types of tides. It does for mackerel, but obviously we're hoping for a bigger, specimen fish. But we just thought we'd have a go. We're going to Pathelli tomorrow, like I keep saying. So yeah, see how we go. Good thing with this is you're not messing about making a full mackerel look like a mummy with a spool of elastic. It's just a case of hook it through once. It's not like a proper dongle rig. I don't feed the dongle through the middle of the bait or anything like that. I put that to the back of the bait, hook the mackerel on once, put that to the back of the bait and just strap that on, and that fits in my splashdown. Less messing about, you don't have to go mad. All dongles perform the function of just enable me to clip down with a big hook basically, but it's neater, it's tidier than using a split ring on your hook, and everything's always down from the hook shank, down from your snood, if you know what I mean, so your bait's hanging. That then, when a taupe comes in, as soon as it picks the bait up and it turns to run or whatever they do, you don't really have to strike very hard or anything like that, and it's hooked straight away. That's what I've been finding. Off this particular mark, I've had runs on big baits, don't get me wrong, but I've been more successful with smaller baits, so I'm trying to just stick with what works. And if it's hanging down from the hook, the fish generally ends up just being hooked in the scissors every time. You don't need to let them run very far at all. You don't really want to be letting them run off here. You can end up in shit if you let them run, basically, excessively. So it's just a good, neat way of doing it. It's not rocket science, is it? There's a lot of people, we've had debates on this species hunts group, what we've got about what's the best way to do and stuff like that, and everyone has their own way of doing things. I like using it. I feel confident in this. It's not rocket science. If you put this in your mouth and then ran off and struck, it's going to pull the bait in your mouth, isn't it, no matter what you do. It doesn't matter whether... Yeah, well, if I put that in my mouth now and someone strikes, it's going to pull it into my mouth no matter what. It's the same with fish. If it works with bull, huss and congers, it'll work with tope. It's simple as that. But there's just a lot of... I've been victim of it myself. There's a lot of debate out there. I suppose just finding out what works best for you. This is simple fishing, and it works. Also, if you're fishing a rough ground mark like this, if you get snagged up with a hook, you're only losing one hook instead of two. That's the other bonus of it. Save you a bit of money.
Less gear at sea as well.
Less gear at sea and all that. So that's why we're doing this. I've got some Pennell rigs that occasionally, if I'm fishing with 2 rods, and I've got some longer rigs, you know, with an extra bit of snood line in here with a swivel here as well. I've got some longer rigs that we could use. You know, I've got some with 3 foot snood. So much of it is 200 pound mono, so much of it is wire with an extra swivel. But also, if you really wanted to, if you're worried that the fish will get too close to your main line, you know, because of this swivel here, you could put a crimp on there, just a rig crimp, and it'll just keep that there, but it enables you to fish a short rig still as well. It's good, just a bit of a thought that. I'm using shorter rigs than most because I can cast them further. I never have any issues with entangling either, should I say, so I'm sticking with what's worked. But I do sometimes try a longer rig as well, and I do try a Pennell rig, but the simplicity of what we're using today is what it is, isn't it? You know, if I were fishing with 2 rods, I'd have that variation of maybe a longer rig, just in case. But I don't seem to get as many runs on longer rigs for some reason. So that's a bit of a tackle talk for you. Back to the fishing. Not a lot's happening at the minute. Jay's had a couple of fish. Had plenty of mackerel. Try and get some fish on camera, hopefully. It's been a bit lazy. It's really awkward filming on this particular mark. We'll see how we get on anyway. Fingers crossed, it's a good one. Just got a fish on. It's a conger or a huss. There's your line. It's coming up here somewhere. Shop leader's just coming up now. It's a fair way out for a conger, like. If it is a conger, I think it might be a huss. It's a dogfish. Cut! You can see the benefit of that 8-0 owner circle hook. See how it's right in corner at mouth. Works with smaller fish, it's going to work with bigger fish, not a problem. We'll get him up, get him put back. The greedy sod though. Mackerel's near enough the big size of its head. I've just dropped a black bream. I've just got it onto rocks, lifted rig up, walking up rocks, saying I'm going to keep it for tea. Slid off hook and dropped back into the sea. Fished down here for 30 odd years. First black bream I've had. But it's probably the first year I've been trying for anything off here in terms of species other than a bit of wrasse fishing that I used to do. Devastating. Nearly as bad as losing a tope, that. Try again. Black lug, sit with a bit of mackerel. Can't believe that. I'll not get another chance on one of them today. Well, they're fishing quite happily now. I've had a lot of tide rip to deal with the big tides. I think they're up to 10 metres on the Gladstone dock tide table. I'm gutted about that bream I dropped. I wish I had some footage of it. Sorry, footage hasn't been very good in this video. I wanted to just get cracked on and fish in a really systematic way for on the big rods anyway. But we haven't had anything else other than that dogfish really. I dropped that bream, which I was gutted about. I got it up the rocks. Just about to start throwing a party. First one I've ever had off here, and it slipped down rocks back into the sea. You twat. But hey ho. It's no surprise, is it, in conditions like this when the temperature's been quite ambient and everything that bream are here. So, shall we see if anything else happens? I'm sure it will. Lovely cuckoo wrasse, going to get him put back. It's been a slow day, a slow session. But what we'll do with him, I think we'll put him in net and revive him in edge a bit because he's a bit lively, but they sometimes go back a bit stunned. Got a nice ballon on black lug mackerel cocktail. Onto a fish. Hopefully it's a cuckoo. Nice and steady. When it gets on top, just leave it. What is it? Keep winding. Lift. It's a pouting. Good lad. Get in. 1 foot species hunt, son. Hey, let's get a picture with
First
that.
one I've had as well.
Yeah, nice one.
Even that wrong.
I've just caught a porcod. Easy to identify really. They're longer than a pouting. They've got the same gob as a pouting, but you get scales on your hands off this one. So I'll have get a picture of the species on and put him back. It's got a strap up top, bottom up. We've changed tack now. We've got a tamer's pennel rig on. I do like the balance of them hooks, to be fair. The benefit of a rotten bottom, when you get a fish on, it drops the lead if it's stuck. It's not a bad fish that, like, to be fair. It's not a big one, is it? But it's got last knockings. Probably put another bait out on this rod now just because of that while we're tidying up. So I'm glad we've actually brought you some fish and a bit of footage. I've been a bit lazy with it, truthfully, but we won't be tomorrow on Pwllheli Beach. We'll have another bait up anyway, see what happens. I just think you can get a bit more distance by being higher up. So this is the last bait up. We've had a good gut today, worked our socks off. Not really doing overhead thump, that's massively, I don't do a pendulum, so I'm not confident enough to do it. Not way back, half a mackerel on. I've got a tamer's pennel rig on this one. Just trying bigger baits, because small baits don't produce anything, so I just keep trying different things till you get a fish. It definitely goes further being higher up, so I just use everything I've got in terms of. I only give that a gentle lob really. But what I found is they just stand higher up and aim for the horizon. But, like from here it looks like 10 foot above the horizon. It's getting me probably 30 or 40 yards extra on my cast, so I believe that's what you need to have. Just so your bait's positioned out of the kelp bed and like in the tide where the tope will see it when they're feeding. So we've got ferocious current rings up right now, you can feel it. It's probably too late in the tide really to be bottom fishing, but I've just had that conger. Right, welcome to Fishing Squad 1 Pwllheli Beach today. Got two rods out, one with Tulk flapper rig, small hook, spits, black lug, mackerel, slivers. I've got a tope bait out, well, big bait out on the rod. Nick's just chucking a Dexter wedge about. Jay here as well. He's got the same type of setup. It's been a slow start, we've probably come down at the wrong stage of tide. It's slow. Let's see how we get on. It's ebbing out, that's sea's on the ebb. We like got here for high tide. I haven't really seen any signs of fish. I think I saw something either a bass or mackerel smashing something close in, but it just looked like a solitary fish. No, it's happening. Hopefully, once it ebbs out a bit more, we might catch some fish. Apparently, there's some reefs out here. We should be able to get in contact with just like a standard cast. Fingers crossed. It's a lovely day. Good 20 degrees. Light winds. It's like being abroad. It's a slow one. So far, we'll see how we get on. So as you can see so far, slow session on Pwllheli Beach. A bit disappointing. We did have the pleasure of meeting Master Fisherman and his family, which was really nice. It was just a pity the fishing wasn't much better. The weather was absolutely glorious. We just couldn't get the fish. On mackerel and black lug. You take a picture of me. We just get my phone off the sand and take a picture of me. Yeah, it's recording, yeah. So let's come out of the blue on the ebb. Surprise, just cast it a bit further out. We got one. So the spider crab. Kids were really fascinated by it. Really placid, aren't they? You can see why people have the snood snipped off though. Some creature they are. You have to be, don't you, to cope with some of the storms around here and all that. Yeah, I think we've just got a black bream on here maybe. Straight away, haven't been out too long. Small bait. Weed on. Didn't have a bite like.
Did get a right bite, didn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
The hooks have been stripped on.
disappointed with that.
Oh, I'm getting.
Jay's just baiting his hooks up. He's got size 2 hooks on. Mackerel, black lug. Keep getting stripped, but this is the first time he's presented them like this, so hopefully, whatever's stripping him, he will hook.
Hooks nicely out as well, isn't it? So
Yeah.
surely some test that's gonna.
It's a fish and not a crab, yeah.
Yeah, fish. Yeah.
Back at car now. Tough session that in that heat. Not very good really, but one spider crab, one bream. Probably would have been better if we'd got there about 6 o'clock this morning, fished the first 4 hours up to high tide, but hey ho, it's been a good day, so we'll see you in the next one.